discussing about the phasor diagram of transformer on no load and also the transformer on load. So before going to my topic, I want to discuss something, the principle of the transformer. So basically, transformer is a static device which transfers electrical energy from one circuit to another circuit. Suppose look at the diagram. Suppose this is one circuit, circuit 1. This is the circuit number 2. This is circuit 1 and this is circuit 2. So what happens? So the electrical energy is transferred from one circuit to another circuit, but without the change in frequency. Students, as you know, frequency is a very important term of AC, and we do have in India 50 Hz as the frequency, standard frequency. So next is the operation of a transformer. Transformer basically operates based on the principle of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So Faraday's law, the first law states that whenever there is a coil which is cutting the magnetic lines of flux, EMF will be induced. And the second law states that the magnitude of the EMF induced, it depends upon the rate of change of magnetic flux current. So in mathematical way, it is written that E is equal to minus M d phi by, where this d phi by dt, this is the rate of change of magnetic flux current, and N is the number of turns, and negative sign is because of the Lenz's law. Here coming to the principle, so in a transformer we have got, you see, in a very simplistic way, I can represent the transformer like this. So there are two windings. One is the LV winding, another is the SB winding. LV stands for low voltage winding and SB stands for high voltage winding. And in a transformer, whichever side is connected with the supply, that will be known as the primary side, and whichever side will be delivering power, it will be called the secondary side. So here what happens, I have shown the LV and the SB windings separately for simplicity. But remember, in a practical transformer, they are wound on the same limb. This is one limb, this is another limb. But both the windings, they are wound on the same limb, so that there is a good magnetic coupling. The coefficient of coupling is very good, and there is a little amount of leakage magnetic flux. So what happens, whenever there is a AC supply which is given here, a current will be flowing in the input side, and this will flow through the coil. So thereby producing the, suppose there are number of turns with N, so the ampere turns produced here in the coil is Ni. Ampere turns is the unit of magnetomotive force, and because of this ampere turns, this causes a magnetic flux in this particular path. And remember, this magnetic flux is time varying, because this is a AC voltage given by V is equal to Vm sin omega t, and this current, this is the instantaneous value, this is Im sin omega t. So obviously the flux will be how much? Ni by, that is by reluctance, is equal to phi m sin omega t. So here the flux, we know that the flux, magnetic flux is equal to MMF by reluctance. So in that way, we can say that Ni is the number of ampere turns, and this is the reluctance given by L by mu A. L is the mean length, mu is the permeability of this medium, of the magnetic material that has been used, and A is the area cross section. So from that we can calculate out the reluctance of this path, and ampere turns by reluctance gives us the magnetic flux. So whenever this flux flows here, this is the alternating flux, remember. What happens? This links both the primary and the secondary side, LV and the HV side. So because of this, what happens is EMF is induced here, there is a EMF induced E1, here there is another induced EMF which is induced here. So we can also say that this is a mutually induced EMF which is occurring in the coil number 2, because there is a, what is mutually induced EMF? Whenever two coils are placed adjacent to each other, if there is a change in current in one coil, the another coil EMF is induced. So that is known as the mutually coupled the EMF, and the EMF induced in the same coil. Because of this voltage, because of this current, the EMF induced here, E1, this is called the self-induced EMF. So whenever there is one coil, there is the self-induced EMF. Whenever there are two coils and the current in one coil is changing its magnitude, then there will be a EMF in the coil number 2, that is known as mutually induced EMF. So in this way, the EMF, the voltage is produced in the coil number 2, which will be supplying the power to loads. And whenever this is open circuited, so we say that this transformer is under no load. And whenever we connect a load and the switch is closed, so we call it, this is a load is connected or the transformer is loaded. So loads, it can be inductive load, it can be a zero power factor load, and unity power factor load, it can be also capacitive load. So depending upon the nature of the load, the current will be decided, everything is decided in accordance with that. So next is coming back to the principle, as we know that transformer, we have got a changing magnetic field and a stationary coil. So we saw that in case of a transformer, there is a changing magnetic field. Changing magnetic field. Changing means what? This is a time varying. This is a time varying magnetic field placed flowing in a stationary magnetic material. Magnetic material over which a coil is wounded. So that means the coil is stationary and the magnetic field is time varying. So this type of EMF which is induced in the transformer, that is known as a statically induced EMF. That is called a statically induced EMF. But almost in all rotating machines, there is another type of EMF which is known as dynamically induced EMF. In those type of machines, particularly rotating machines, the magnetic field is stationary. Suppose you talk about a DC generator. There are north pole and south pole which are fixed, and the armature, the coil is rotating there. So the process is reversed. Here the coil is rotating, there inside a static magnetic field, thereby EMF is induced in the coil. So that is called dynamically induced EMF. So after discussion of this, let us come to the phasor diagrams. So here you see what happens is I have drawn here a transformer which has got its secondary side open circuited. So it simply means that the transformer is under no load condition, there is no current flowing to the secondary side. Only the EMF E2 is induced here and E1 is induced in the primary side. So these are the induced EMFs because of the applied voltage here and the current flowing through the primary winding. And under this condition, what happens is the current magnitude, the current is maximum 2 to 10% of the rated current. So this current is very less. So because of this, the current which is now flowing, that is only working working to create a magnetic flux in this particular path, and there are some core loss. There are some loss components. In order to account the loss and to create a magnetic flux in the core, only this current, which is the no load current, it is usually denoted by I0. This is maximum 2 to 10% of the rated current. This only flows in the primary side. There is no current in the secondary side. So here, what I have drawn here in this particular diagram, the voltage V1 is the applied voltage. This voltage is there. It is shown along the positive axis, and here I mu, this is the magnetizing flux. This is called the magnetizing. This is magnetizing current. This is magnetizing current, and this is the loss component of current. And the vector sum of these two, this is I0. This is I0, which is the no load current, total no load current, the vector sum, and this is the no load power factor of the transformer. So this is, and because of the flux phi, EMF P1 and E2 they are induced. So we know that phi is given by phi m sin omega t. So E1 is equal to minus N1 d phi by, suppose we say, dt. So minus sign, as you know, it is because of Len's law. So this is minus N1 phi m omega cos omega t. So this can also be written as N1 phi m omega sin omega t minus pi. So that means the EMF induced E1, this is lagging behind the current, the flux, flux is phi m sin omega t, and the EMF induced, it has been derived and it is stated that it is coming out to be equal to N1 phi m omega sin omega t minus pi by 2, or this is called Em sin omega t minus pi. So similarly, we can also derive for E2, and E1 and E2 they are lagging behind this flux by 90 degrees, and they are along the negative y-axis. So this is about the no load phasor diagram of the transformer, and in the equivalent circuit it is represented like this. So here this is R0 and this is X0 and this is I0. This is through the X0 there is I mu, and through this R0 there is a IW component. To make it much more clearer, I am redrawing this. So look at the equivalent circuit here. We have not taken the leakage resistance and the leakage reactance in the primary side, although there is, because the current is only 2 to 10%. For that reason, Actually there is in the equivalent circuit there is a resistance here, there is a resistance here, there is a leakage reactance here. So this is RE1 we can say, or we can say this is R1, the leakage resistance of the primary side and the leakage reactance of the primary side, but these are not accounted here. There is no drop in voltage counted here because the current, no load current is too small. So that's why I have not represented here. There is also in the secondary side there is reactance and there is resistance. This is X2 and this is R2. Although there, so under the no load condition there is no question of showing this side because the circuit is not closed. So there is no question of any current flowing in the secondary side. About the primary side, the voltage drop across R1 and X1 it is not taken into account because the no load current is 2 to 10%, which is very negligible. So for that reason only the no load equivalent circuit has been shown. I0, this I0 is the total no load current, and this I mu is the magnetizing current component, and IW that is the loss component of the current. And E1 and E2 they have been shown, and this applied voltage this is shown along the positive y-axis. So after discussing about the transformer on no load, let us go to transformer on load. So the transformer, when it is connected with a load which is of inductive type, so now we will take into account this R2, X2 and R1, X1, everything here, and this current flowing here is, which is being supplied is I2, and when it is reflected, referred to the primary side, it is denoted by I2 dash, and this is the supply current is given by I1. So we can say that in this full load, when this transformer on load diagram, we can say that I1 is equal to I2 dash plus. So why I have shown all this is, this addition is not simply algebraic addition, this is a vector addition between the I2 dash and I0 which will give rise to I1. So again, so now considering the transformer on load, and we are talking about whenever there is a lagging power factor load, what happens. So in this third quadrant I am representing my secondary side voltage. So this is the V2 and this current I2. So there is a lagging of current I2 will lag behind this voltage V2, because we know that from the fundamentals, that is about AC flowing through a inductive load, the voltage leads the current by some angle depending upon the value of inductance and resistance. So here also in this circuit, this is V2 and this is I2. So the secondary side power factor is phi 2, that means I2 is lagging behind V2, because in the phasor diagram the clockwise, the leading and lagging, this is calculated by looking in a anti-clockwise direction. So here this V2 leads I2 by an angle phi 2. So next what I will be doing is, I will refer this I2 which is there in the secondary side to primary side. So when it is referred, this will be like this, and this is called I2 dash. And the vector sum of this I0, because here you look at this, I1 is equal to I2 dash plus I0 dash. So the vector sum of the no load current and the secondary side current which is referred to the primary, I got my primary side current which is I1. This is the primary current. So next is, what I am to do is, I can write here for this side, the equation for this side is V1 minus I1 R1 plus Jx1 is equal to E1. So this side or V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1 plus Jx1. So here this can be taken to positive side with a minus sign, minus E1. So then for representing I1 R1, so V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1. So this is now E1 and I1 R1 will be, this is my I1. So I1 R1 is parallel with this. This is I1 R1 and with 90 degree to this is J I1 X1, because there is the phasor which when multiplied it rotates by 90 degrees. So thereby I got this Ji1 X1 and now this is my V1. So this is the condition what happens for the phasor diagram under the load which is inductive in nature, that means the voltage leads the current. Similarly, we also can draw the phasor diagram for the unity power factor load. In case of unity power factor load, what will be there? Only there is a little bit of change. That means the current, secondary current will be in phase with the voltage. So I2 will be along this. So accordingly, because now the V2 and I2 they are in the same line because the angle between them is 0. So cosine of 0 is 1. So that is a unity power factor load case. So that means the nature of the load is, this is a unity power factor and 0 power factor load case. In that case also I am doing the same manner. I am to withdraw this like this. So this is my I2. Unlike this, what I had done earlier. So now this is the I2. So this is the I2 and this is the I0. Now I will find out the vector sum of I2 and I0. So this is my I1 and similarly accordingly this will be changed I1 R1. So now it is like this and Ji1 X1 is like this. Ji1 X1 is like this. So this is the transformer on a unity power factor load case. Similarly, whenever the current is leading the voltage, that means for a capacitive load, we know that in a capacitive circuit, the current in the circuit, when AC voltage is applied, the current leads the voltage across the capacitor by some angle. So depending upon the value of capacitor and resistance. So here also I can draw here this I2, not here, rather somewhere here. So now my I2 is leading the V2 by some angle. So this is the angle. So this can also be redrawn like this in the same earlier way, and the resultant can be found out, and accordingly following the same equation we can also draw this. And for the secondary side you can see that we can write the vector equation E2 minus I2 R2 plus Jx2 is equal to 0, or E2 is equal to I2 R2 plus Jx2 plus. So similarly in all cases we can draw the secondary side, complete the secondary side phasor diagram, but the primary side phasor diagram, it has been shown in the way it has been shown. And for that also, considering this case also, we can see that this is V2 plus I2. So if in the first case we have drawn that it is a lagging power factor load case. From the secondary side, suppose you want to complete the phasor diagram, V2 plus I2 R2. So this will be parallel with this. This is I2 R2 I2 R2, 90 degree with this. This is J I2 X2 and this is now E2. So this completes the secondary side phasor diagram in the case of a inductive load. Similarly, for the unity power factor load, for a capacity power factor load, all these things can be drawn. So students, you see, it is pretty easy, and only what you have to know is you must know the equivalent circuits here. This R1, this X1, R2, X2 and the no load exciting circuit, and the vector sum, how V1 is equal to this thing, and the secondary side vector equation and the primary side vector equation. These things you must know for drawing the phasor diagrams of the transformer. Thank you students. Thank you very much.